Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. Today I want to talk to you guys about trying to assess where you are in terms of being a novice versus an intermediate versus an advanced lifter or bodybuilder. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Alright, there seems to be a lot of confusion on this, and it isn't unreasonable that there's a lot of confusion, and that's because there are no clear boundaries between these things. These are more of a range that we try to use to explain the way that the body adapts to different types of training stimulus and how you have to change that stimulus to see continued adaptations. And it's not a clear, at this threshold, you're at point A, point B. Now, I'm going to link below in the description a basic website showing you some strength standards that some experts feel will kind of determine if you're in those ranges or not. But I wouldn't take those as gospel because, first of all, if you're 130 pounds and you're not 5'1", you're not an intermediate. I don't care how much you can lift. So keep that in perspective. You're not an intermediate bodybuilder, at least, because you haven't gained any significant muscle mass. And I think for some of these, I would rather see people doing these for 5 or 6 reps than considering these as a 1 rep max. Now, the other thing to consider when people look at these strength standards, they'll go, my bench press, which is probably the only lift they really work on, is an intermediate or advanced, but I'm still a novice on my deadlift or squat. And the obvious answer there is, and you're clearly a novice because most of the muscles in your body are at the novice level, and your pecs, delts, and triceps are the only thing beyond that. So what I would tell people, though, in all honesty, the biggest mistake I see people make is that they take big jumps. They want to be more advanced than they are, and they want to hop on programs that are not optimal for them. And I would say for most people, you're going to make better progress if there's any doubt whatsoever as to where you are, you move back a step. Meaning if you are not 100% certain you're well into the intermediate phase, I wouldn't go to an intermediate program. I wouldn't switch to 531 or Mad Cows or Alberto Nunez's intermediate bodybuilder program or anything like that if you are not completely sure that you're out of the novice phase. And my standards are a little higher than some of that. I consider someone to be a novice who can't bench 225 for a couple reps or squat 315 to depth for a couple reps or deadlift 405, regardless of what their body weight is or how long they've been training. I consider that person to be a novice if they can't do that, unless they're a female or they're a very, very short male. And I'm talking like 5 foot tall, 5'1", well below the normal range here. And the reason for that is because the more advanced your program is, the more complex it becomes, the more extra adaptations it throws at you that your body has to adapt to, which will slow other adaptations if you're not ready for them, and the slower the progression. Meaning it's expected that in an advanced bodybuilder program that you're going to gain 5 pounds or less of muscle every year. Therefore, it's not trying to stimulate enough progression to put on 10 or 15 or 20 pounds. Therefore, if you're still having some new gains left and you're running a program like FAT, don't expect to gains at the rate that you did as a novice, because a program like that is not geared towards the progression or the specificity of training to make rapid gains in muscle mass. It is there to tweak and undulate rep patterns and try to keep an advanced bodybuilder still gaining a little bit of muscle. It's not going to give you the same gains that a novice program will. And that's the big problem we see, is that I'll see guys who can't even bench 300 pounds who will jump on something like FAT. Or if you want to put it into reps, they can't bench 225 for 10 or 11 reps. They're nowhere near being an advanced bodybuilder. And yet they'll jump on something like FAT. And they might make some gains, but they don't make the sort of gains that they should be making. And so people, they like to do that. And realistically, if you're unsure, stick with a program slightly below where you think you might be until you are sure, because it will keep the progression higher. And again, that's assuming you're running pre-written programs and you're not trying to write your own. And I would say for most guys, don't try to write your own until you're an intermediate. And I kind of like to see intermediate guys spend a few months trying to write their own programs and stumbling and failing. Because we learn through failure, and we realize that our body doesn't always work the way that we think it does in our own training programming. And then a lot of times they'll wise it up and they'll go back to something written by a true expert and they'll start progressing again. So I like intermediates to branch out and experiment a little bit. So that's one of the big issues. And the other big issue I see is that I see people who don't have serious goals. Someone who just wants a nice physique or to get into shape, but they're not going to compete in bodybuilding or powerlifting. People who are going to be happy with a 300-pound bench press, or someone who's going to be happy with 16-inch arms with veins in them and nice abs. You don't have advanced goals. You don't ever need to use an advanced program. And I'll see people like that who go, I don't want to get huge. I'm not trying to be a competitive bodybuilder. I'm not trying to reach that level, yet they will go do an advanced push-pull legs program, or they will do fat, or they will go on a very, very advanced strength training program, but they don't have advanced goals. And those people would be better off sticking to programs more suited to their final end game goal. So it's important to not just determine kind of where you are in terms of progression and what sort of progression scheme and undulation and periodization you need according to your experience and the way your body adapts, but it's important to pick programs that are realistic for your actual goals, not only your short term, but your end game goals as well. Oh, guys, here tomorrow, remember, I'm going to put up the Q&A thread on the Ice Cream Fitness Facebook page so that you guys can post up your questions so that I can answer around 10 or 15 of those on Monday. But all right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you next time.